I end every video with this statement. There are no stupid questions. And for those of you who know my background, you know that before I was in real estate, I was in education for 20 years. And absolutely, the thing I miss the most is teaching. And that's why I do these videos. That's why I love educating you, the consumer, the one-day buyer or seller, pretty much everyone. The vast majority of people, I would say, or at some point in your life, you're going to either be a buyer or a seller. I know there is a small majority of people that may rent for a good majority of their lives. And listen, some people may actually rent their whole lives, but there's a huge population, and I'm sure you're one of those people. If you haven't already been a buyer or a seller, one day, hopefully, you will be a buyer or a seller. And there are no stupid questions. So if you are ever meeting with anyone regarding real estate and they make you feel stupid or silly or inferior for asking your questions, go find someone else, because that is our job, that is our duty, to answer all the questions. And so I'm going to just go over with you some of the most popular questions that I get asked on an absolutely pretty much daily basis. One question that I get asked a lot, and this one comes from sellers, is which appraiser should I use before you list my house for sale? And that answer is absolutely none. If I list your house for sale, you do not need to spend the money on an appraisal. It's irrelevant. It's unnecessary. It's going to be a waste of money, because when I list your house, I'm going to pull the comparable homes that have sold. We're going to come up with a price. I'm going to ask you, how much is your mortgage? How much do you want to net on the sale of your home, which means how much do you want on closing day when the closing attorney hands you over a check made out to you? What number do you want to show up on that check? Okay? And that's your decision to make. And so if you say to me, I need that check to have this amount of money on it, then I'm going to know that in the back of my head. I'm going to work very, very, very hard to exceed those expectations, and I do it all the time. Probably, I would say 75 to 80% of the time when I meet with sellers, the number that they give me actually at the closing table ends up being way more, substantially more than the number that they thought it was going to be. And I find that very, very regularly, that sellers underestimate the value of their home and underestimate the amount that it will sell for. And so the reason you do not have to have it appraised is because that is the buyer's responsibility. So let's say we list your house for $300,000. It goes into contract for $295,000. The vast majority of buyers are going to get a loan from a bank, from a broker, from a whoever. They're going to have a loan, and that mortgage company is then going to send out an appraiser. And they do not get to choose who it is. You do not get to choose who it is. It is a random draw. And an appraiser comes out, they assess the value of the house. I will tell you, in all the years that I've been in real estate, and listen, it hasn't been a long time, it's been 5 years, I've had 2 out of probably now 285 homes and land that has sold, 2 that didn't appraise, and I knew they would. I told the sellers, listen, I feel like this is overpriced. Ultimately, the sellers, based on all the information I give them, the seller is the boss. You always will be the boss. You're in charge. I will present you with all the information. You ultimately get to decide what the sale price is. I may say to you, I believe we need a list in this range, and if you think that it should be a little higher, listen, I'll tell you, Okay, I feel like it's high. I feel like it may sit on the market a little while. I feel like it may not appraise, but ultimately you get the final decision. And we'll list it at that price. And 2 of those times I said to both of those people, I feel like it's overpriced. I feel like it's not going to appraise. And the first one was $2,000 shy. And so the sellers lowered the price. That's all they could do. And the other one was, I think, $5,000 off. And again, the sellers lowered the price. So ultimately, you as the seller have the final say on what the sale price is. After I present you with all the information, you get to decide. This is another question that I get all the time. People will say to me, what's the best bank to go to get a house loan? So that, I mean, listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Most banks do not offer the best mortgage deals for the current buyers because most banks require 20% down. Okay? That's a simple fact. Most banks, in fact, maybe all of the banks, require 20% down on a mortgage. Most people don't have 20% down. Even those people who have 20% down saved do not want to use it all. You want to keep it. You want to save it. You want to keep it for an emergency. You want to keep it for house repairs. You want to keep it for whatever. You don't want to put 20% down. So the vast majority of the people that I work with, I refer them to a mortgage broker, which requires you, in some loan instances, to put 0% down. That's called a USDA loan or a rural development loan. And remember, that loan will qualify for any house outside of the city limits of Lafayette or Lake Charles. So you're talking about even in the city of Rayne, Crowley, Eunice, Mamou. In those city limits, those houses do qualify for RD, USDA, rural development loans, and that is 0% down, which means 100% financing, okay? If your credit is pretty pitiful, you'll probably qualify for an FHA loan, which means that you need to put 3.5% down, okay? Still not near 20% down. Now, if you have 20% down and you want to go to a bank, I will tell you one of my favorite banks to deal with is Abbeville Building and Loan. And listen, Abbeville is far away from here, but probably you'll never have to step foot in their building because they do everything online. So if you have 20% down and you have great credit and you have been employed at the same position in the same job for at least 2 years, or you've moved up the ranks and switched jobs because you got a promotion, Abbeville Building and Loan is amazing to work with. They're amazing to deal with. They do require 20% down, but they have great rates and they're a great bank. There aren't very many that I would refer you to, okay? So huge misconception. You do not need 20% down to buy a house. In lots of instances, you need 0% down, 3.5% down if you're going FHA. And if you're going with a conventional loan and you're a first-time home buyer, it could be 3% down, it could be 2% down, it could be 1% down. If you're not a first-time home buyer and you want a conventional loan, it could be 5% down. Still nowhere near 20% down. And I'll tell you, before I got into real estate, I absolutely believed that you needed 20% down to buy a house. You absolutely do not, and that's still a huge misconception among many, many, many buyers. So do remember that, okay? Another question that I get asked a whole lot is, what if I need to sell my house in order to buy the next house? Listen, people do that every single day. Every single day. People need to buy a house in order to buy their other house. And people move for all kinds of reasons. They need a downsize, they need to upsize, they want to live in the country, they want to live in the city. All the reasons, all right? If you are motivated and are ready to do it, where there's a will, there is absolutely always a way. So if you need to sell in order to buy, give me a call. I would absolutely love to have a conversation with you and explain to you how that happens. And that happens every single day of the week. It's common, it's doable, but you want an amazing realtor on your team who is well versed in how to get it done. All right? Here's here's another question. I got this one yesterday, and I think people are sometimes delusional about how much a house can cost and how much land can cost. I'll tell you right now, the interest rates are average right now. And for you who are waiting for the interest rates to drop, I guarantee you, while you're waiting for those interest rates to drop, the home prices are not dropping. So the price of real estate is steadily going up and up and up and up, just like everything else is. Everything else has gone up. Think about the price of milk that it was just a few years ago and what it is now. The price of gas, the price of groceries, the price of going on vacation. Y'all, the price of everything has gone up. So it's a direct correlation to real estate. Real estate prices have continually risen. Well, the interest rates are average. If you keep waiting for those interest rates to come down, in the meantime, prices of everything is going up. It's all relevant. I would say, this is what they say all the time. With real estate, don't wait to buy real estate and then wait. So what that means is, let's say you're not ready to buy your forever home. Well, buy a home, live in it for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and then sell it, because I guarantee you the price that you pay for it today, you're never going to recognize the price you will get for it in 3, 4, 5, 6 years if you take care of it, if you maintain it, if you do all the things that you need to do to keep it up. You're going to always get your money back. In fact, you're probably going to make a huge profit when it's time to sell it. All right? But the question I got yesterday was this. We have a budget. Our budget is $110,000. We want to live somewhere outside of Lake Charles, like Moss Bluff, Westlake, those kind of areas, not in the city of Lake Charles. We want a house that is 5 years or younger. We want it to be a brick house on a slab, but y'all, this was the kicker. This was the kicker. I said, okay, I can help y'all find that, but what's your budget? I need to know your budget first. Okay, our budget is $110,000. All right, so guys, I don't know how often you look at the prices of houses on Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, all the things. There's no such thing. Listen, there's no such thing as a house that is less than 5 years old, brick on a slab on the outskirts of Lake Charles in Moss Bluff, Westlake, for $110,000. And if you find one, please send it to me. That's not ever happening. And so I said to the people, okay, listen, this is what I need y'all to do. Go look online at Zillow, Realtor.com, all the places where you can find houses for sale, and find some houses that meet that budget for me. Send me the addresses, because I want to see them, and then I'll check them out for you. How old is the roof? Has it ever flooded? Has it had any damage from any previous storms? All the things. Well, guess what? They're not going to find a house for that amount of money. There's no such thing. It's $110,000. If you could find a 3-bedroom, 2-bath brick home on a slab that's less than 5 years old on the outskirts of Lake Charles in Moss Bluff, Westlake, or any of those little communities, no one would rent. No one would be renting a house. Everybody would be buying up those houses. There is no such thing. Unless it was totally damaged in one of the last storms and it's fallen apart, and then it's still probably not $110,000. So, as a buyer, if you are thinking about buying, this is what I encourage you to do. Go online, go to Zillow, go to Realtor.com, go to Trulia.com. Look at the areas that you're thinking about buying. If you're looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, and you want to be in the Iota School District, or you want to be in the Rain School District, or wherever you want to be, go look at the houses that are for sale and see how much they are for sale to get an idea of how much things are selling for. Then, before you decide to go house hunting, you need to get pre-approved. Why? Because you need to know, number one, your budget. You need to know the kind of loan type you have so that you're only looking at homes that qualify for certain loan types. Because, for example, if you're qualified for a VA loan, which is 100% financing, a VA loan will not allow you to buy a home that has any broken windows, any rotten wood, any peeling paint, anything that's structurally unsound, anything that's unsafe. So there are parameters that you have to follow. But if you're pre-approved for something like a conventional loan, there really aren't a whole lot of rules to those at all. Really at all. So it's important to know what's your loan type and what's your budget. Then you hire a realtor who will take you to go see any house anywhere in their area, right? Remember this. A question that I get asked a lot is, how much do you charge? Remember this, all realtors are self-contracted, which means we all decide how we run our business. We all decide if we charge you something up front. We all make those decisions. I do not charge you a penny up front. I get paid at the closing table. I get paid at the closing table, and my payment comes off the proceeds of the sale of either the home or the land that you were purchasing. I am charging you nothing up front. So if you're a seller, I'm charging you nothing up front. If you're a buyer, I'm charging you nothing up front. I get paid at the closing table, okay? So just keep that in mind. That's a question I get asked all the time is, do I charge something up front? I do not charge a fee, all right? Y'all enjoy this amazing, gorgeous South Louisiana weather. And remember this, there are absolutely no stupid questions. Ask your questions. Before I got into real estate 5 years ago, listen, I didn't even know enough to ask stupid questions because I didn't know enough to even ask questions at all. I believed before I got into real estate that if I were going to go house hunting for houses, I would just drive around neighborhoods and look for for sale signs in the yard and call to schedule a showing, or call if it was a for sale by owner. That is absolutely the most time-consuming, ludicrous, backwards way to look for a house, okay? So if you're not sure how to get started, give me a call. I'd love to have a conversation with you. I'd love to help you find your dream home. Believe me, as a seller, keep this in mind. There are never enough houses for sale as buyers who are looking to buy, ever. So if you're a seller anywhere in South Louisiana, I'd love to help you get your house listed and sold. And I'd love to have a great conversation with you about how to get that done. Y'all take care and have a great day.